from Miami.
Yes, sir.
So what were you doing in Miami? You're doing some projects, I see, right?
Well, number one, I was not freezing, that's for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, coming back here and like the snow this morning, that sucked. But no, I actually have a buddy that works in real estate over there. And, Miami's a little bit different because, like the poppin' areas, it's all like high rises and the big money is in like the luxury real estate. So he's actually going later this month to Dubai to find like the investors because apparently like they're investing like a lot of Middle Eastern money into Miami specifically. So
Right.
that's like a totally different thing, That's not happening in the Chicago market.
Well, Miami's skyline is actually the third biggest in the U.S., right? Compared to
Yeah.
New York, Chicago, then Miami, right?
Yeah. It's really come up. I mean, if you see it like 10 years ago to now, it's totally different. And 10 years from now, it should be, if everything goes according to plan. Yeah, no, a lot of
Because
people are
there's
going.
no taxes there.
But there's also a lot of people leaving too, A lot of people, you don't have the state income tax, but you also have like higher insurance.
Well, yeah.
Homes,
The hurricanes
for
and all that.
cars,
Yeah.
like I heard it's like double, So there are other costs associated with it too. Plus, while it's not freezing, it is also very hot, like
It's
really
always,
hot.
Yeah, it's always 80s. And
Like I got sunburn. Oh wow, yeah, you can still see it. Yeah, no, I got sunburn. Like, luckily I tan well, but I mean, I got burnt. I did get a little carried away at the beach my first day there, and then remembered, I got to put sunscreen.
were you at like South Beach?
No, North Beach.
Yeah, so I was there a while back at a wedding. It was at South Beach.
Nice.
And I haven't been back since, but I do want to go. I feel like it's right now. I know some people that are working there as well, doing real estate, doing here and there,
Yeah.
which you might be considering, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, right now I'm not planning to move like into a different market really. But
Yeah, I feel like they complement each other well, right?
it's a good thing to do, I guess. And in the winter, you could go there maybe and stay for a little bit and do business.
And then come back here for
Yeah.
the awesome summers in Chicago.
Right? There's nothing better than Chicago for the summer.
Summertime Chicago, yeah, it's pretty up
The
there.
only thing I think that could be better is if the beach was actually, if it was like a warm, like actual salt.
Disagree, man. I like that it's not salt water because you don't get that salty taste like when you come out.
Yes.
Actually, I kind of like that.
I think I like the salt water, like the ocean salt water, just because especially in Miami, you can literally see through it. And the sand's really good.
It is very clear. I remember I saw like 50 fish swimming around. I saw a crab.
No, I literally saw a shark. I was in 4 feet of water, and there was a shark, a big one. So Portage Park is where we're at in the market in this Chicago right now.
Portage Park's a good spot, Like it's always been like a solid neighborhood, and it's kind of like fallen off like in the recent years. It hasn't been a hot area, not like in Avondale or in Albany Park
Irving
or
Park.
Logan or even Irving Park. But like lately, because I mean that park is huge and it's got everything. And right by me, they put in the new pickleball courts, new tennis courts.
Brand new.
Yeah, brand new. They're beautiful.
Go check those out.
Maybe like a few months ago. They're beautiful. I wish that they fixed the potholes in the streets, but the alderman told me that they will.
The garbage, you said?
No, the potholes in the
Potholes?
Yeah, like by our street, by the alley, like it's annoying.
It's
They
like
did like
everywhere.
throw in like that black stuff, but like just do it. Just do it.
They don't do that in the city. They don't care to do those. I feel like, well, if they did, then there wouldn't be so many of them all over,
I feel like if the alderman was my uncle or something, they'd do it, but unfortunately, I don't have the political connections.
Yeah, they want to spend their money on, expanding the, whatever, building more concrete or buildings or whatever. They don't want to fill the potholes,
Actually, one thing they're building, I'm sure you've seen it around there, like by the intersections, they'll put like concrete, like kind of, I guess to make the by the intersections the street not as wide. They'll put like the brick, like kind of like a mini sidewalk. Have you seen that?
Yeah,
I'm gonna see if I can pull up a picture and.
There's been some roads that they recently did down the block over here. The one actually, North Avenue.
Yeah.
They widened the street. No, they widened the sidewalk, I believe.
Yeah, they narrow the street.
Narrowed, but then they made it 2 lanes, but it has more space now when you're driving. You can.
Now this is the opposite. It makes less space for when you're driving. But it is, I think it's closer to the Portage Park School, so maybe that has something to do with it. But I've seen them do it all around the city. Like for the bike lanes, I get that, although I'm not crazy about when I'm driving. Even for me, biking, I kind of prefer it the old way. than like going on this side. But yeah, there's no perfect way. But like fix the streets, the actual streets first before you're building these like nice like brick, because it's like brick in the middle. It's actually pretty nice, but it's way less useful than me being able to drive without like those potholes like just messes with the suspension.
It happens, you know. I'm surprised there aren't any more accidents than there currently are, because, you know, there's a lot of different like the intersection right here. There's like, it's like a 6-way intersection, then next to it another 6-way intersection. So when I turn left to go, it's literally there's one parking. You can pull up in the red light. That's it. There's not another car. You can't put another car behind it. You know what I'm talking about?
No, but let's take a picture and put it in here later. I'm sure if I saw it. But we were talking about Florida earlier.
Yeah.
Like, have you driven from here to Florida?
I have a couple times.
Okay. Isn't it crazy? Like, there's potholes here, and then from the whole rest of the way from here to Florida.
There's not any, Smooth,
It's
right?
insane. So it's not just because here is cold, because like, you know, Indiana gets cold and all that, Tennessee.
Well, because those are just open small towns, you know, and they pave it once and they update it later on. But here they just do half-ass jobs on the street and they don't finish the potholes, you know. But everything else, they build nice neighborhoods, but they don't do the streets.
But even when they do it new, have you seen like there's kind of like that overlapping line, and it's almost like a crack already, even when they do it brand new. And it's like people are gonna drive over that, and it's just a matter of time before the water seeps in, freezes, expands. Like, feel like they could do a better job. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah, I've seen it 100 times over here.
Even in Wisconsin, I've been to Wisconsin, and like the potholes aren't, and that's even further north, even colder.
Yeah, I feel like the city we're giving them a lot for the taxes, so they might as well kind of like give us a break, you know, like help out with that or help out with whatever else that we need. I feel like, you know, sometimes they're not allocating funds the right way, but
for sure. And like, you know, like it feels like it's become big news again, like the parking meter thing that they sold for $1 billion, like Daily sold for $1 billion.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Like, it would bring in like 150 million a year, but now all that money's going to Dubai.
Sold it to Dubai. And then,
yeah, like some company in Dubai.
So we're paying
Arab
every
Emirates.
time we pay, we're paying them because
they give us $1 billion, so now they own it. And like, I think they already made their money back, and they get it until like 2060 or something, or 2070.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah. So like they made their money, they're gonna make so much money, and you know, it just screws us because we could use that money.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so talking about the recent deals, I guess we're currently working on. Or?
Yeah, you told me you got something with you got a 480. You're getting like around almost a 10%
cap rate.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid for that area, I feel like, right now.
Solid for almost any area.
So that gives you a good idea of what you might be able to get in for your rents, you know.
Yeah.
And you're right next to the park, so that's solid.
I have not calculated my cap rate. Let's see. It should be pretty close to 10 as well, actually. Especially like after this current rehab and bringing that from like way below market rate to like, I would almost say above market rate, because it's $1,600 for a basement unit, 1 bedroom. It does include the utilities. So like, let's call it like $1,450 for real, but it doesn't cost me any extra because it's boiler, or it doesn't cost me much extra because it's boiler heat. So, and those pipes are there anyway. So like whatever. And then electricity, but like, you know, the big thing for electric bills, it's not just the like how much electricity you use. The biggest thing for like combating people's gas is their like delivery fees, and like, you know, even if you use zero electricity or zero gas, you're still getting a bill for like $30-$50 or something, you know, because of those like standard fees.
Oh, that's the
fees.
baseline guaranteed fee.
Yeah, something like that. I think it's lower for the electric, but for the gas, I feel like even if you don't use it, it's still like $50. Like in the summer, like look at your gas bills.
The difference is in the winter, obviously, you're paying probably twice as much as the summer.
For sure.
Yeah, you know, but you know, depending on the neighborhoods right now, I feel like the one, you know, your area, the one we just bought in,
you can call it our area then.
Yeah, based on
it's our area. We run Portage Park.
Based on both of us getting nearly around 10% cap rates, I feel like this might be better than most markets, but maybe it's just starting to get that way or something. I don't know.
I feel like in Chicago right now, like, all right, Portage Park and like the flip we did at Hermosa, like those aren't like the cachet neighborhoods. It's not a Wicker Park, it's not a Bucktown, it's not a River North or an Albany Park or Logan Square, whatever. But still solid areas. But because they're like kind of like low key, like a lot of the properties haven't been rehabbed to like modern specs, But when we rehab it to a modern spec, if you have a good quality of rental finish, you can get those higher rates.
It doesn't matter in the neighborhood, really. But
It does matter in the neighborhood, but like I feel like there's a bigger delta
Yeah.
in these neighborhoods between like, I can get $1,600 for a basement apartment. I'm sure there's a basement apartments in the neighborhood renting for like $700-800.
right.
Like that's double. But I
because
did
a
put
lot of
like
these
quartz
places-
countertops and nice finishes.
They've been there for a while, like for 20, 30 years. And they've, the owner might be moving to a new place and they're just renting those out, right? But they're willing to take kind of, whatever because they're trying to find their own tenants. They're just giving them discounted rates on an older place, That's not really comparable to doing a flip or a rehab or a renovation or buying it in a good condition, updated appliances and renting it out, because that's a completely different situation, I feel like. But there's a lot of those people in Portage Park, I feel like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like the one I rented the basement. Bro, I got like maybe 3-4 inquiries. Like that's nothing. Like
It's
you were
slow,
showing
the
me
market's
before.
slow.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not like River North or some of the other places. You were showing me earlier, like your rental manager, like you had like hundreds, thousands in there, right? Like you could put one apartment. and get,
Lincoln
like
Park.
30, 40
Yeah, you'll just get inquiries all day.
Tons. Yeah.
Over here, you'll get a handful of, Section 8s, maybe one that's, working at a school or a hospital down the street has good income because they want a bigger place and stuff. But then you can't guarantee they're going to rent because they have, I had someone that was inquiring, but then they just moved on to a new place without even touring it.
Yeah, you have much less of a pool.
Yeah.
For sure. But if you find that good one and you have a place to give them, they appreciate that, and then you're getting top of the market. And like I said, I think $1,600 for a basement unit, like I said, even call it $1,450, is insane. Like that's definitely, if it's not top of the market, it might be better than top of the market.
Yeah, in that area, that's the top of the market or around there. And then, but when it comes to the first and second floor, that I feel like, a lot of the market's around like 2,000, 2,500, for like 3 beds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm talking one, but yeah, for 3 beds for sure.
Yeah, but depending on obviously the quality though, because obviously if you're not good quality, you're at the beginning of 2,000. If you're at the very top, you're around 3,000 or even more maybe. But yeah, definitely it gives me a sense of, compared to this area, Bucktown, Lincoln Park, River North, Lakeview, all that, like this area is a lot slower for sure. So you got to take what you can get when it comes to renters,
Well, and then like we were talking about, like renovating your apartment, and then you can get higher market rents in Lincoln Park, even if it's like almost decrepit, like creaky floors, super old, whatever. It's like someone's gonna rent it and they're gonna pay good money.
They're gonna pay top dollar.
Like maybe they're gonna pay this much, and if it was totally renovated, like you'd get like this much, Like your floor is a lot higher. But where we are, if it was like decrepit, whatever, like it'd be almost impossible to find someone, or they're gonna want to rent it for like $600, $700, $800 a month, you know. Whereas if we're good, then we can get the top of the market.
But the thing is, Lincoln Park, the values go up a lot, obviously, and it's always, the rental market's really good. But it's not, the value doesn't go up at as high of a rate as some of these up and coming areas that are just west of there, basically.
For sure. Well, in Chicago, it's always go west, like the Cowboys.
Yeah, and it just, you'll see like on the market reports that values have increased over like 10 years, like 230% or something like that, or 20 years, whatever the number was. And then Lincoln Park's been like about like 175% or something, which
There's only so much room it can grow.
But you have to factor in that everyone wants to live there though. Renters are going to be there at all times, so it's a good place for investors.
It's not like a new undiscovered gem, like Logan Square 10 years ago, even 5 years ago compared to now. Like it's insane. It looks like West Loop. Even West Loop 10 years ago.
Since I've been here, the value in this area has almost doubled, which is crazy.
Well, this area, like, the last 10 years increased a lot, but like it really, if you look back in this area, like 30, 40 years ago, you could buy buildings for like $7,000.
It's 10x.
15 grand. And we're not just talking a house, we're talking about like a 4-unit building, a 6-unit building. I know like a landlord, like some of these landlords, like they're still here, like because they bought back then when the area wasn't good. Like, I got the story, like this guy came over here emigrated from Poland, and he worked on the Sears Tower. So I think it was like 1970s, something like that. Then he started working around this neighborhood. And the landlord said, hey, instead of paying you the money on that job, can I just give you a building on Milwaukee? And he was like, no, give me my money.
Oh, he should have taken the building.
Well, yeah. But he told me that's how bad it was back in the day. Like, he wouldn't take a building on Milwaukee Avenue. He'd rather just take cash. I mean, how would it'd be $1 million now?
Yeah,
More.
my dad over here was buying properties, in the 80s and 90s for less than like 30 or like 30K, like to 50K, And then he was doing renovations and all that, and then getting tenants, and then eventually, he was holding some of them for a while, right? If he would have held all of them though, right now he would have like 30, 40 units in Bucktown right now.
Yeah, in the year
that was
2000, in the year 2000, you could get $200,000 for a brand new like 3-flat, like brand new key in hand, everything done.
For 200, well, you could in
You
some
know those
areas
ones?
of the city.
If I show you a picture,
Not
we need like a
3-flats.
lot of pictures. Yeah, it was a 3-flat.
Yeah, but you still could get, maybe a 3-flat for like 400, 500 in like Humboldt Park right now. I've seen, but those are worst areas of Humboldt Park.
Yeah, the problem with Humboldt Park, as opposed to here or even Logan, is you're far from the Blue Line, the Expressway, and Milwaukee. Like,
and it's
those
more
three
dangerous.
things kind of like go together, right? Like the Blue Line's awesome because it takes you downtown in O'Hare, like
Yeah.
two gems of Chicago. Milwaukee, just awesome street with so many restaurants, bars, shopping, etc. And the Expressway, of course. I mean, we can go from here to Florida, as we discussed earlier. Like, you got those three things. Humboldt Park. The actual Humboldt Park is nice. It's changed a lot. I remember, maybe 20 years ago going through there, and I would see like baggies and needles and stuff like that. And now it's just beautiful. Beautiful. I mean, so beautiful. Remember that a couple of years ago, like the alligator came from Florida here and was chilling in Humboldt Park?
It wasn't in Humboldt Park.
Yeah, the lagoon over there, and they found like
In the lagoon?
yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. So it actually went all the way up the river?
I'm sure.
No, someone took it, yeah.
Yeah. Some idiot's just like, hey, let's bring this alligator to Chicago. That's a great idea.
And then there was a leopard or something running around in Chicago.
What is it, coyotes? They let them out.
Yeah, that's
I've seen one time by Burnham Harbor.
a coyote. Well,
I think it's coyotes that they let out, but they let it out.
there are
like, they want
coyotes
them out.
in the area, but there is like an actual like leopard, like that from like
Or another animal.
someone must have had an animal and it got loose or something, and it was just running around the streets.
Yeah, I mean,
Can you imagine that, right?
people do crazy stuff. We were talking before about like owning the neighborhood. Do you know on Ashland, just north of Division in Milwaukee, there's like Mike's Appliance?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Bro, he owns like the whole block, man. And if you see now, they're doing, and I'll put a video in here, they're building new, I think it's like 20-unit buildings or something like that.
On Ashland?
Yeah, it's like it's crazy. Like, he owns so much. Like, I think one building's like 2 lots and one building's like 3 lots. And then there's still like 6 lots in between them. And I'm just wondering if he's like doing like a medium-sized one here, a medium-sized one here, and then in the middle he's gonna do like a really big one.
How many units is this?
It's gonna be a lot. Like, I'll show the video, but I was seeing them, like they're pouring the concrete trucks, and like,
It's like
I don't know how many they've already poured, and they still gotta pour so much more.
So is this like 20 to like 50 units?
Something like that. I'll have to look it up, but I know it's not small, let's put it like that.
I know, like, if you had taken advantage of that opportunity that we were mentioning in this area, 30, 40 years ago, you probably would be doing that by now. You'd probably be buying 20 units or 30 or more.
Yeah, are you saying
Single deal.
time in the market is better than time in the market?
No, it just, if you're like lucky basically and you like land on like the right market in Chicago, you just like, like at the right time, obviously, yeah, But I feel like we're not going to get the opportunities that our parents had in Chicago.
For sure.
Like, we might see that, we might see it like down the road. Yeah, we made good investment on these properties, but we won't see as much of a massive increase in value as they saw when they could have bought at that time.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. They get now in monthly rent what they paid for the building. So imagine every year you're making 12x what you paid for it. I mean, call it 10x or 9x after like taxes and blah, blah, blah. But like, that's an investment right there.
Yeah, it's
Like, if you just get 10x period, but you're getting 10x every year, not to mention the actual appreciation from like 17 grand to like, I don't know, 1.5,
Yeah.
2.5, 3, depending on the condition.
It's like buying like a stock at like a low price and just like it going up. But the difference is,
But then
you
like
actually
the
get the rental
dividends,
income.
yeah, like
and you have the tax benefits, and so it's better than just buying stocks or investments in the market.
well, there's no stock that pays 100% dividend like every month, you know.
You're making a lot of cash flow, your value's going up, and you have tax benefits. So it's probably at least twice as good as an investment in a
Well,
stock
and you
or
can tap into the
index or
money
something.
of it.
Yeah,
without
you can
selling.
use as a loan.
Yeah, take a HELOC.
Take loans on it and just buy more, and
Burr, baby, burr.
Yeah.
Exactly. Burr's the way to go. I think Burr is, it's hard to get the first one. I went to like the multifamily meetup. Like they used to have it, or they have it.
Yeah, I've been.
What is it? I want to say MapQuest. I know it's not MapQuest. What's the name of it? Navigator Tap Room.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm thinking about MapQuest.
Yeah.
But they have it there, and like it was cool because it was a couple that has gone through it, right? And they bought the first one, and then the second one. Like I think they were talking like she wanted to buy like a normal house, and he was like, no, let's buy a multifamily, and they did that, and like I think they got like 3 now. It was really cool.
It's definitely the move right now. It's the move.
It's the move always, really.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to do the first one. I think it's more of a mental thing than anything else. Because it's actually easier to do the first one 4 units or less, of course, because you can do 3 or 3.5% down and get a pretty decent rate.
Right. It's just hard because it's your first time doing it, and you probably don't have the experience.
Exactly.
You don't know how it works. It's very complicated overall.
Yeah, and then it's hard to know who to trust to like take you through it. Yeah, it's just obviously it's a big responsibility, a big decision, a big commitment. Some would even say a higher commitment than even getting married,
It is. It's basically, you're in the past, you're probably working full time somewhere, right? And now you're essentially your boss. You're basically the boss if you're the one that's running the property, or you're the one that's running the business or something. It's essentially, it's essentially like a bit how a business works if you think about it, right? But it's different because someone's paying you just to live there. But
well, it's awesome. Yeah, you're getting that payment for the rent, but if they leave and it's empty, or if you don't screen the tenants right and you get a bad tenant, you have to evict them. If there's repairs, like the toilet, or heck, yesterday, and I'll show a picture of this. One of the tenants hits me up like, "Oh, there's water coming from the ceiling in my bathroom." I was like, "What?" And he showed me a picture. The light fixture is kind of like one of those round ones. It was like filled with water and kind of like hanging. I was like,
the light fixture?
Yeah. I was like, oh, that looks so bad.
From the unit above?
In their unit. And the unit above, I contacted him. I was like, hey, what's going on? He
left the water on?
No, he took a shower and the shower curtain, I don't know, he said it was too short or something.
Probably making it up.
I don't know, but he's a newer tenant, but he's been there for a month, so I don't know if he just tried a new showering technique or something. But it's just weird. But I went to see him. He was embarrassed. He was like, "Oh, I swear I'm not that guy." Blah blah blah. And it's like, we all make mistakes, right? But I was just like, "Hey, I'm gonna have to charge you because like this isn't like a normal wear and tear thing, But I got to see like the light. I took it out, poured the water out, but like anything electricity, I want to make sure it dries out completely, and then I'll see maybe if it can be reused. But if not, then I got to buy a new light fixture and I got to charge them. That's it.
Yeah, you probably put it in the lease that if he does any damages, that he's liable. Or, I think a good way to do it is also security deposit up front. You do that, or?
No, so here I'll rewind. I know my pops had a friend and she did. She owned buildings and rentals. She made a mistake though, like with the security deposits, right? You're supposed to open an account for each and every one, make sure it gets like X amount of interest, like depending on what year it is or whatever.
Yeah, it's always a very small amount. It's like
exactly
less than 0.5%.
Yeah, it's minuscule. And she did a shortcut. She just threw them all in one account. Well, that's commingling.
Right.
Okay, so she got sued. She had to pay them back, I think it was 2 or 3 times the security deposit, plus the interest, blah, blah, blah. And then, it wasn't just her that had problems. I think a lot of people have problems because generally Chicago now, I feel like security deposits is more and more rare. Like most people do move-in fees.
Right.
I personally prefer it because, like before, like when I rented, like the landlord, he just like made up like oh, this is blah, blah. I was like, what are you talking about? This place is better than you gave it to me. And, but he's just like, well, he gave it back, but I don't know, he dinged like this was blah, blah, blah. And they have like, I think it's, don't quote me, but I think it's like 60 days or something. So they just hold your money. And then if they don't pay you back, what are you going to do? Sue them? Like, it's going to cost you more to get an attorney or whatever. I mean, to go and get your money back, and they'll make up some excuses, and then it's going to be your word against theirs and blah, blah, blah. I feel like the moving fee is just cleaner.
It makes sense.
It's non-refundable, but like, you know, if it's $500,
Depends on the situation though.
$200,000, or sorry, two grand, and then have to fight at the end to get it or whatever.
Basically, it was, you know, in this case, we charge a security deposit because it's a whole house, and we have had previous tenants who have trashed the place completely, which we're actually selling right now. And my dad he's actually gonna have to do about, he said like $10,000 to $20,000 worth of repairs on it, which is way more than what the security deposit even was.
That's tenant screening, my friend.
But we're gonna sell it, and then that's gonna be done with. So this case, we have a whole house that we're renting out. We don't want to just charge a move-in fee because we do expect that they will potentially make a couple damages, you know, happens. And, you know, if that's the case, we might, you know, depending on how much that costs, just take it out of that security deposit, but then obviously refund them, you know. Unless they keep it completely clean, then we refund them the full amount.
Make sure on the move-in, what I like to do is take a video, you know.
We did that, yeah.
Yeah, and then at the end, like, I don't know if they're not going to renew, like, you know, 2 months or whatever, sometime beforehand, show them the video. Hey, remember how we gave it to you? Like, it should look like this when you move out.
No, but in your case, since you have a lot of units, it makes sense to just charge a moving fee, I guess, because it's not as, you know, not as many square feet for their property, and, you know, it's just liability wise, you expect that there's going to be some repairs that you're going to make out of pocket, so you just charge it up front, right?
Ever since I moved to, like, when I first started managing, like 6 years ago.
Right.
You know, I had like credit score requirement, and then, like, you know, people come like, oh, so-and-so happened, student loan, or I went through a breakup and blah, blah, blah. And, like, you know, I try and have compassion and empathy. But, like, 4 times I made exceptions, and 4 times there was problems. Like, the first one, he paid, like, late, but he did pay, but, like, maybe, like, a couple weeks late every time. The second one, he paid on time, but he was just not a great tenant because he tried to frame it as something else. Like, he worked in some, like, music magazine, so when bands came to town, he had to host them, but I'm sure he was doing Airbnb, you know. The third one had good credit, the other one didn't have good credit, and then we allowed him to have a co-signer. And then what happened is he told the roommate, like, hey, can you just give the first month and the move-in fee, my portion of the rent, and I'll get the next month. Okay, so next month comes, he doesn't pay. Oh, something's happening. I felt bad for her because she paid for him. And then she just contacted one time like, oh, I don't think I can pay the next month rent because he hasn't been, and I was like, wait, he hasn't been paying this whole time and you've been paying for him? And then we went after the co-signer, it was his dad, and like he basically told us like, F off. And you know, it's like, again, what do you do? Like, we looked through the options, like get the lawyer and like sue and all that stuff. It's like, it's not really worth it. It's like, hey, look, but like we still threatened. Like, I mean, what if this solution didn't work? We were just like, hey man, just get out. You know, we won't sue you, but just get out.
That's the plan. If things go sideways, you know, for any of our tenants, it's like, you can go.
Oh no, I was just gonna like, it could be worse, right? You know, in Chicago, some tenants can just stay. Yeah. Like, have you heard of that story? I forgot what suburb. He put his house for sale. The career squatters saw that. They broke in the next day, and then like they stayed there. And he called the cops, like, "Hey, these guys trespassed on my house." Cops went up, knocked. Hey, you got to get out of here. They're like, "No, we got a lease," and they held up some lease.
It was a fake lease.
Yeah, it was a fake lease. But the cops said it's not our job to determine if it's fake or real. And so this guy was like, what the, they were like, you got to go through eviction. And you know how long that takes and how much money that takes. So he was smart. He went to the news. The news went, they saw like the lease was fake, and they
Yeah.
called the cops, got in contact with the police, like, hey, check it out again. They went, saw the lease. It wasn't even the right address or anything. And it was like, all right, you guys got to go.
They didn't even look at it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no one wants to do their job anymore.
That's not a good job on their part. So I feel like if anything like were to come up with tenants, we would just tell them to get out basically, like, because we don't want to go through. If they can't pay, like, then they can't live there basically,
Yeah, but what if you tell them to get out and then they don't? We're not in Texas.
Well, all I know is, the agreement is that you pay the rent every month for the amount of time that your lease is. If you can't do that, you're not following the lease, then
Then you got to do eviction.
you gotta move. Yeah, it's as simple as
But
that.
if they don't move, you got to do eviction.
And have you gone through that before?
Luckily, I have not. Besides that situation I told you, there was another one that I might have had to, and this was the fourth instance. Rented it to, her credit wasn't great. Like, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't like at the line, but she had co-signed like her mom and dad. Her dad was like an ex-MLB baseball player. Like, I think he was on the Marlins when they beat the Cubs and went to
the World Series.
Yeah. And
They won the World Series that year, I think.
yeah. That's when.
Yeah, Barman. 2003. Were you here then?
Bro, yes, I was here. Yeah. Oh, I remember that. The Bartman and then like Ozzie Guillen was in the dugout like laughing like, oh, I think it was the game before or something, like there's no way we're gonna win this. The Cubs are going to the World Series, and then like boom, everything collapsed.
And then Ozzie Guillen won with the White Sox.
And then to add insult to
He actually lives
I think it was
down he had a place down the street from where I'm at. He had literally a few houses down, but he moved out of there recently.
that guy was